SCP-106 is the Old Man and probably one of the most evil entities in the entire SCP universe. This guy is dead set on making his victims suffer, and it's even down to the screams that they make that summons him to our world, or the world of the living. In fact, he has his own dimension, and that's where he comes from. But he doesn't do this to feed or anything. He actually does this for pleasure. Like I'm saying, he's evil. At any rate, guys, SCP Explained says he's got a sad backstory. So we're gonna figure out what's going on, listen to his origin story, and react to it. Guys, make sure you subscribe to SCP Explained. Subscribe to me if you like reaction videos, and let's get into this one.
SCP-106 is like something out of a night terror.
He doesn't look too
that
evil
gray, rotting
the way they
flesh,
drew him here.
Those wide, empty eyes like those of a shark. That relentless corrosion and decay that follows him everywhere.
He is putrid.
But what if I told you that beneath that horrifying exterior was a heartbreaking, tragic backstory?
I mean,
some of our more eagle-eyed viewers know that SCP-106 has a wide variety of potential origin stories, different events that may have led to the old man we all know and fear today.
I thought he was
so this is just one of several hypothetical backstories.
I guess that's what
With
I've
that little caveat out of the way, it's time to see if we can bring a tear to your eye with the tragic tale of SCP-106.
I doubt it, but go ahead, go for it.
Back in the year 2000, Dr. Robert Scranton and his wife, Dr. Anna Lang, were head researchers at Site-120. The two of them shared a lot of things. A home, a life, a shared love of Bon Jovi songs. But one of the things they had in common was a passion for experimental research. The two worked together to develop a device called the Lang-Scranton Stabilizer, which was an early prototype of the reality anchors used by the SCP Foundation to this day. During a round of routine tests, an earthquake unexpectedly struck Site-120. Dr. Scranton was working in Reality Lab A when the ground beneath him began to rumble. The LSS shook from the activity, components sliding out of place or breaking off altogether. By the time the guards and Dr. Lang arrived to inspect the scene, both Dr. Scranton and the LSS control panel were gone. Upon his disappearance, Dr. Scranton was initially presumed dead. However, 5 years, 11 months, and 21 days later, his whereabouts became clear.
I never heard
about this. On December 23rd,
23rd,
2005, the LSS control panel reappeared in Site-120's Reality Lab A. It was covered in unknown organic matter and reeked of vomit, blood, and death. As Dr. Anna Lang wandered into the area, against the warnings of her colleagues, she was overwhelmed with grief and horror. She choked back tears as she accessed the control panel, retrieving the audio files left there, and realized that Dr. Scranton had been keeping a log of his time in whatever place the disaster had sent him.
Oh, wow.
The husband she had lost had, in a way, come back to her. But she could not see him. She could hear his voice, but where was he?
So
there was so much blood,
man?
so much unidentified organic matter. It looked like something had exploded onto the control panel, and she didn't want to think about what or who that could have been. As Robert's wedding ring fell to the floor, landing in the muck, the emotional strain became too much for Dr. Lang. She collapsed onto the ground, hitting her head on the pavement. Dr. Lang survived her fall, left only with a tender spot on her skull, and a wealth of questions she was almost too afraid to answer. But she had to find out. With answers at her fingertips, she had to know what had become of her dear Robert. So with the help of the other Site-120 researchers who promised to step in when it became too painful, Dr. Lang began to go through the audio archives left behind by her lost love in the years since he had vanished.
So he was recording when he was
gone? For the first 8 days, Dr. Scranton didn't speak, at least not in any recognizable words. He hyperventilated, he muttered to himself, he sobbed, he screamed with pure rage and despair, but he didn't say any word. He paced around the new space, clawing for a way out, throwing his shoulder against any hard surface he could in an attempt to burst open a door, but he was trapped. On his 11th day in the pocket dimension outside of any world he knew, Dr. Scranton began to speak. He reminded himself, reminded anyone who might someday listen, who he was. Robert Scranton, age 39, born September 19th, 1961. Favorite color? Blue. Favorite song? Living on a Prayer.
Favorite color too.
Wife?
Living on a Prayer.
Every day he repeated these simple truths. seeking comfort in his memories of Anna and the life they once shared.
Right.
Her green eyes, their wedding day, her dressed in white shoving a piece of cake into his face with a giddy laugh and a sparkle in her eye. He hoped that she was okay, that she had managed to escape the chaos with her life,
She's
that
fine.
she had been spared a similar fate. He repeated her nickname, the password he had set for the control panel, Anna Bobana. At this point, he realized that the machine was still recording. He called out for help, desperate to see if anyone could hear him. Is anyone there? Hello? Anyone? Anyone? But of course, there was no answer.
Right.
Why the hell is this thing even working? It can't be working, he mused. What the hell? He couldn't see anything, not the switches or the knobs, only the blinking of the red recording light. He was growing hungrier and thirstier by the day, and though he knew he should be dead from dehydration by now,
he wasn't
somehow he wasn't. He was still alive.
So the pocket
Soon
dimension
he found the
sustains
controls
his life?
and determined he had been trapped in this place for 2 weeks, 3 days, 47 hours, and 58 minutes.
God
He
dang.
realized at this point that no matter how hungry he got, no matter how long he went without water, he would not die.
That's horrible,
Somehow
dude.
in this place, his body kept going. His heart ticked along, far past what should have been his expiration date.
Right.
He retrieved a small picture of Anna from his pocket, gazing at her face by the faint glow of the red light. 2 months, 4 days, and 3 hours in, he recorded a formal message. My name is Robert Scranton. I'm a former head researcher of Site-120, a Foundation facility dedicated to studying various reality-bending SCPs for the purpose of developing more advanced countermeasures towards such threats. For the last, red light speak to me. 2 months, 8 days, 16 hours. What the red light said. I have been trapped in what I believe to be an empty pocket dimension. Alone.
Right.
Yeah, alone. All alone. I'm calling this place SCP, I don't know. I can't even remember where we are. Screw it. I don't know what's happened in the past. Red light, please, again. 2 months, 8 days, 16 hours. But no one else is around to argue, and at this point, I'm just talking into this control panel to keep myself together. I need to keep a record. There might be some poor chap in the future who ends up like me, and if this eventually actually makes it out, maybe I can help stop that from happening.
So if this is him, what turns him evil is what I want to know, because he seems like he's growing miserable, but that's a far stretch from what the old man is actually capable of.
It's all I have going for me right now, and I really need something to go for. So, yeah, Robert
Of course,
Scranton,
it's only been 2
documenting
months
a new SCP for
versus
future
an
research
eternity.
purposes. That'll have to do. Here we go. A few days later, he added to his informal SCP log. I don't know if we could contain wherever I am. It's definitely not on Earth. To be honest, I don't know where it is. I think it has something to do with the stabilizer prototype. I'll explain that more later. Okay.
Ain't got nothing
Yeah,
but
wherever
time.
I am,
Why not?
I don't think it can be contained much as created. No, that's not the word. Entered. Yeah, entered is better. I came into this place because of some really bad reality-bending accident. And no, Robert, don't be like that yet. You don't know if there's no exit yet. This place, it's some sort of reality gap.
Right.
It's dark, really dark. As in, this little red light that shows my words are actually being recorded is the only visible light in this entire place.
Wow.
I can't even see my hands, and I can barely see the control panel here.
That
I've had to
sucks.
basically use the light as a center and remember how many steps I take and in which direction. I haven't gone past 100 yet. I'm too scared to.
Yeah.
I wonder if my hair is turning white right now. I can't even see what color it is anymore. Speaking of which, my head has been a bit itchy recently. If I don't concentrate on it, it's fine, but I feel this tingling all over my face. I'm not sure why. I just discovered a new property of this place.
That's
all
not
this
good.
time I've been thinking I may be walking on some sort of flat ground, if you will. I keep eye contact with the little red light as far as I could see, and it seems I could walk in a straight, flat path. Jesus, my head is buzzing right now. I think the adrenaline is still kicking. But if my hypothesis is correct, and this really is some sort of reality void, then there shouldn't be anything to walk on. Now that I think about it, the whole time I've been here, it
Like
felt
a vacuum.
like I'm walking, but also I'm swimming through something. It's like I'm walking through really thick black gel. There's enough tension to keep me on a surface, but if I imagine myself pressing down hard enough, I can descend. Wait. I think I need to test this more. I'll be back. 2 months, 17 days, 2 hours.
Yeah,
Navigation
he is
is largely affected by conscious impulses to travel in a certain direction. So this definitely isn't a complete reality gap, at least according to mine and honest theories.
It's a different reality.
If it were, I wouldn't be able to move at all since space wouldn't have existed. Okay, this makes a lot more sense.
That's confusing, man.
Great job, Robert. Okay, you're getting there. Come to think of it, I should have realized that sooner, when I was able to move in a flat plane to and from Little Red. It also explains why I'm not dead from dehydration or hunger yet. Time barely passes in here. Okay, yeah, so I stood right next to Little Red and went straight down. Okay, from here on out, imagine Little Red as the origin of a 3D space. I went, down. Yeah, right. And then I was able to come back up to Little Red again. I've also been able to fly above Red. Movement in here is slow, like I said, gel analogy, but best I can describe it. As Robert became more and more familiar with his surroundings, with the truth of where he found himself, something became clear. Of all the things in this new reality, he and his little red light were the realest. With time, they would begin to degrade, to fall apart. He had an estimation 3 years before he would be gone for good. He had to try and look for an end to this place, a way out. What did he have to lose? As it turned out, what he had to lose was himself.
Fleshy?
He couldn't feel his legs anymore, couldn't keep a grip on his own body. He ran in one straight line for 6 months, but found no edge, no end in sight. He went down for 8 months straight and never hit bottom. His sole companion was the little red light, and he continued to talk to it as if it could ever answer. His hands began to phase into each other, the integrity of his form beginning to fade and warp. No matter what happened to him, he could not die. His sanity began to crumble, his voice breaking into uncontrollable sobs and hysterical laughter. Whoever Robert Scranton had been, he was gone.
He was no more.
He was something else now, and who knew how long that new thing would last.
For
the next 25 years, Dr. Anna Lang tried her best to put the thought of her lost husband out of her head. It almost worked some days. She almost forgot that hole in her heart. Then, one fateful day, Site-120 received a deadly visitor. SCP-106 reached through the back wall of her lab, dripping its horrible rot all over the floor. It grabbed for her, its touch melting her lab coat as she tore away from its toothless grin, the singular focus in its milky eyes.
So that's what happened.
The old man chased her down, pushing past a guard's bullets, tearing through everything in its path. She had done enough work on dimensional anomalies to recognize one when she saw it, and this was one of the most destructive she had ever encountered. When it finally caught her, it said one word: Red. Then another, one that made her eyes fill with tears: Anna. Dr. Robert Scranton had found a way to escape the dead-end prison he had fallen into, that gap between worlds. All it had taken was giving up his humanity, letting that world rearrange his atoms and make him something monstrous, something that destroyed all it touched. He couldn't remember why he needed to find Anna, how he had been separated from her for so long. He could only remember that he wanted her, wanted to be with her,
it was like a
wanted
desire,
to touch her again, even as she screamed and melted in her hands. SCP-106 was once a man, just like any other man. What he is now shares that vague shape of the human he used to be, the vaguest hints of his memories, but that is where the similarities end. Like the rotting flesh of his body might suggest, he is little more than a shambling corpse with a ravenous appetite for violence. Dr. Robert Scranton is dead, but he will never rest. Now go check out SCP-106,
God, man, 106. Poor guy. I do feel sorry for him. You know, insanity drive you mad after a little while, and if you can't even remember what you wanted out of your past life, except it's just an urge, that's gotta be frustrating, man. Oh, I guess over time that place just warped him, you know? And the fact of just being alone. It is a sad story, bro. I mean, he's still evil. I don't feel sorry for whatever it is now, but poor Dr. Scranton. I didn't know it was Dr. Scranton. That was him. That's cool though. This was an awesome one. Guys, make sure to subscribe to SCP Explained. Subscribe to me if you like reaction videos too. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.